looks like Wizards of the Coast, which has prided itself on being a very progressive company over the last couple of years, is doing some things that are not very progressive. In fact, there's an article in Kotaku, of all places, just this week, that apparently Wizards dead-named some of their trans employees in front of their colleagues during a union election. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It happened multiple times. And they're getting called out for that. And then just a couple of weeks ago, they were kind of threatening people who were going to join the union. They said that they were begging staff to think twice before voting to unionize. It's about the kind of relationship you want to have with the rest of the Wizards organization moving forward. That sounds like a threat. This is the same company that sent the Pinkertons to a guy's house because he got some magic cards early. This is the same company that said on multiple occasions they weren't going to use AI, only to double down on it and then apologize when they got caught, and then they would just go ahead and do it again. The same company that fired a bunch of people that thought they were family. I'm just saying, people criticize us. They think we're anti-union. They think we're, not progressive. They think we're not this, whatever. What I'm telling you is coming from experience as an old dog. These companies don't care about you. They don't. It doesn't matter which company it is. Ask Disney how it worked for their employees. That for the longest time, for decades, they were told they were family members. That they were cast members. They were family. They were part of the Disney family until they weren't, until the pandemic happened. And then they became employees and they got a very cold letter. They were getting thrown overboard. And now it's become kind of a matter of course that every couple of months they toss more employees overboard to save money, right? You thought you were with your people. You thought you were with a group of like-minded individuals. And unfortunately, a lot of these employees are going to be reminded that they're working for a for-profit corporation and they're going to do what they got to do to make money. And if you get in the way, your family, as long as you help them make money, it's kind of like the mafia. Well, they got the Pinkertons involved, so who the hell knows? But we're going to talk about this because I just think it's highly ironic. And also something else I've noticed this year is they're not really going all in on the pride stuff like they have before. Now, this is after they put together this community, this council of influencers and, whatever. They've got influencers and people that work in the tabletop industry, and it's sort of, to give their input into the game. I don't think Wizards is going to listen to a lot of that, but it's lip service. They want to look like they're actually listening to the community. But the reality is they got to sell some Dungeons and Dragons, right? They got to sell some magic cards. And I just think this is just so wild. And this is coming again, just a couple of weeks after they kind of poo-pooed. Is that still a word? Can we use that? Poo-pooed? They poo-pooed the union. My family uses that. I don't even know what it means. I think look disparagingly upon, dismiss. They dismissed the union, and now all of a sudden they're dead naming their employees. This is a very progressive company, guys. Just so you know. Just so you know who you're working for. It's a corporation, right? I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. But this does seem kind of, I'm going to be honest, it seems kind of passive aggressive, given that they're not real big on this unionization stuff over there because it costs them more money. That's okay. You'll all be replaced with machines as soon as they can figure it out. Anyway, we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, if you'd like more Clownfish TV, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com. Geeky's got a new rage up. She's raging at YouTube. You can check that out. And if you'd like to listen to the audio version of Clownfish TV, you can check that out on iTunes, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, so let's start with this one. This is coming from Rebecca Valentine on Kotaku. Wizards of the Coast dead names trans employees in front of their colleagues during union election. They apologized, and then they did it again. Okay, like one time, I'm just saying, but you keep doing it, The actions here are at odds with the kindness and support I experience daily, they say. Okay, so during the lead up to a union election at Wizards of the Coast for Magic the Gathering Arena, the company allegedly dead named a number of trans employees in front of their colleagues. When confronted about this action, the company apologized, only to do the same thing again the following week during the election itself. Kotaku has spoken to multiple union-eligible employees who explained the situation. According to them, WotC and the group of employees filing for a union election agreed on an election to take place this week that would be in person for in-office employees and mail-in for remote employees. And I think that was one of the issues, if I remember correctly, was they didn't want people working remotely. As part of this process, WotC submitted a list of employees eligible to vote to the National Labor Relations Board. Sources say that while WotC has traditionally been friendly to trans employees and widely supportive of their chosen names, regardless of their legal names, and while the NLRB is open to using chosen names rather than legal names for election, the list WotC turned in to the NLRB included the legal names of all employees, including the dead names of several trans individuals. That list was then published on an internal website about the election that was accessible to everyone in the company. Oopsie doopsie. Oopsie doopsie. But then it continued. So, and I'm going to assume this is a chosen name. Zib Vane. Yeah, I don't know too many Vanes. I don't know too many Zibs. I've never met a Zib. XIB, is that how you pronounce it? One of the employees whose dead name was shared with their coworkers said they found out about what happened when a coworker messaged them and said they didn't see their name on the list. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I went and checked and I was like, oh, I am on the list. It's my dead name, which nobody at work knows. Well, guess what, Zib? They do now. Oops. The way I've been describing it to folks, especially folks who are like, I don't really understand why it's a big deal. It's like, as a trans person, I don't want my dead name out there. It's like if the company had sent my nude pictures to the entire company, it's just it's violating and it sucks. Well, here's the thing. They've cultivated, again, a certain audience over at Wizards. They have been leaning into progressive politics at Wizards. They've been hiring activists at Wizards. And it's highly ironic to see them push back against unionization and to dead name their employees, given everything else. And the Pinkertons. I mean, come on. The Pinkertons. The freaking Pinkertons, man. Sources say that when confronted, WotC removed the list. Okay, instead opting to send individual emails to eligible employees about how to vote. But then during the in-person vote, it became clear that WotC had not updated the list with the NLRB. Oops. Union elections with the NLRB do not require the use of legal names. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so I could even understand if they had to require legal names for whatever reason, right? But they said they don't. They said union elections with the NLRB do not require the use of legal names or showing of ID. They just require employees confirming they're the same person that's on the list the NLRB is given. In this case, several trans employees were forced to give their legal names to the NLRB representative in front of an observer and an earshot of all others in the room waiting to vote in order to be allowed to vote in the union election. Employees tell me during the later voting session, the NLRB rep present made an effort to help employees confirm their identity for voting as privately as possible, but was ultimately stuck with the list the company had given them. So this is what WotC sent to Kotaku. As part of the ongoing union election, in early May, we shared a list of employee legal names with the NLRB and CWA. So that's the Communication Workers of America, and they're the ones who are unionizing all of the nerd spaces. The CWA, it's Dark Horse was CWA, I think Image was CWA, I think Kickstarter was, and then they fired all their unionized employees. And I'm telling you, I think that's going to happen at Wizards. I think Wizards is going to wind up firing a lot of their union employees. They will downsize. They'll blame AI or something else, or macroeconomic circumstances, or financial global headwinds, but they will fire these people because they obviously don't want them unionizing. We did not share preferred names of individuals at that time. Instead, opted to provide the least amount of personally identifying information as possible while complying with our obligations to provide employee information. That list of legal names was subsequently approved for use in the voting process by both the NLRB and the union reps. Last week, internally, we provided voting directions to the group of employees eligible to vote, and it included the same list of legal names. In our rush to provide clear voting instructions, we overlooked the use of legal names and not preferred names in this internal communication. After employees raised concerns about this, we acted immediately, resent the information with employees on BCC, and apologized. Yesterday, as planned and approved, that list was again used in the course of on-site voting and mail-in ballots sent by the NLRB directly to voting employees. The use of those legal names versus preferred names was part of the process. but we understand the emotional toll. Going forward through this process, we will approach the issue with heightened care and ensure that we use preferred names in communications wherever possible. WotC did not respond to further requests for clarity as to what the legal process required, the use of legal names. I don't know the deal, but they may have had to have used your legal name. I mean, that might actually be true. But again, this is just, if they didn't go out of their way to accommodate these employees when they felt for years that WotC was going to bend over backwards and accommodate them, you know, they're a for-profit company, guys. And honestly, I think they have their panties in a twist about the union in general. I don't think they want a union at WotC. They said all the trans employees I spoke to emphasized how hurtful and antagonistic it felt. So there's a whole lot to it. There's a whole lot to it. Okay, so these are just quotes from people, and it doesn't really change. I don't think it changes the story any. Again, the point I'm trying to make in this is these companies that virtue signal don't really believe what they're selling or what they're saying. They do it because they think there's profit in it. They do it because they think this is what you have to do to get more customers, to get more money. All of this with Dungeons and Dragons and Magic and pivoting a certain direction politically, they thought incorrectly that it was going to lead to more sales. In fact, doubling down on politics has led, I believe, in a lot of cases to people dropping WotC products. And then then when you're stuck with mostly activists, then as soon as you piss them off, they boycott. You know, see also the AI drama and all the, you know, Worlds Beyond. They're all preemptively pissed off about Harry Potter, and Hasbro just got the rights for Harry Potter. Do you think they're going to not make Harry Potter Magic cards? Do you think they're not going to make a Harry Potter D&D campaign set if the Harry Potter HBO show is huge? Really? Do you think they're just going to say, yeah, it's going to hurt some people's feelings? Clearly, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if it hurts your feelings. So this is what, look, this is just tinfoil hat here. I think they are not, I don't think they went out of their way to be antagonistic, but I think they just don't give a shit about the union because they didn't want the union. They didn't want it. This is the same person just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm starting to see a bigger picture here. They don't want the union. They don't want the activists. They don't know what to do with them. So what you do is you move the stapler. If you guys have seen Office Space, you move the stapler. You make it as uncomfortable for the people there as possible so they leave on their own. That's how you do it. That is like corporate 101. Don't fire people if you can do a couple of things that are cheaper and get them to leave on their own, especially if you have to pay them a severance. If they quit, usually you don't have to give them anything. So you make it uncomfortable, you figure out where the pain points are, and then you just push a little bit. Oh, they're going to quit if they don't get free coffee? Pfft, well, I guess we can't afford coffee anymore. What you going to do about it? Quit. Please quit. Just leave. Just leave. Leave the company. Kotaku. May 21st, Wizards of the Coast begs staff to think twice before voting to unionize. Yeah, they're real big into this union, guys. Progressive WotC. It's about the kind of relationship you want to have with the rest of Wizards going forward. That sounds like a thinly veiled threat. It said, following the announcement that Magic the Gathering Arena developers were petitioning to form a union last month, Wizards has responded not by voluntarily recognizing the union, but by sending letters to employees urging them to think twice. I'm seeing what's going on here. You guys see what's going on here? They're moving the stapler. This comes from multiple posts on Blue Sky by employees who received the letter, seemingly penned by former WoW GM and current WotC president John Haidt. It includes a number of lines heavily implying that a unionized workforce would be worse off than a non-union one, including suggesting that workers may end up with worse benefits or wages than they have now. Or you could wind up with unemployment because we don't want you here. In the letter, WotC management uses known union busting jargon, including referring to the union of workers as a third party and suggesting it would be better to maintain a direct working relationship with leadership. The language carefully skirts the prohibitions listed under the National Labor Relations Act, which only bans directly threatening employees with negative consequences for unionizing or promising them benefits if the union is rejected. This company hires the Pinkertons to shake people down if they get Magic cards early. And you're shocked that they might be trying to low-key bust the union? Please tell me you're not this dumb. And I'm not saying that the writer is. I'm just saying, like, seriously. They hired the freaking Pinkertons, okay? They've hired the Pinkertons. Notably, union leaders say they have not collectively received any communication directly from Wizards as a union. Yeah, they're not going to acknowledge it. The company responded to the union petition via a statement sent to press and has said nothing else since. The union has claimed the company hired employer advocacy lawyers Fisher Phillips to represent them in union matters and has been engaging in a daily union avoidance campaign by sending emails to the arena team that is spreading information and sowing fear among our colleagues. Yeah. So what did you expect? What did you expect? So this does kind of feel like, I don't know if it's deliberately malicious on the part of Wizards, but they clearly don't want the union and they don't give a shit about the activists anymore. That's what I'm getting from this. And this is years of them really going all in with the pride stuff. They're not doing it this year, which I thought was very weird. I'm like, okay, let's go out and see if there's anything on the official D&D account. They're not putting the all the rainbow stuff up this year. That's interesting, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like, but I'm getting mixed messages because, again, this group they put together, this advisory council, about 2/3 of the advisory council are people that are like sensitivity consultants and DEI people and all that. You know what I'm saying? But they'll probably do it for show. They'll take their feedback into consideration and then they will promptly throw it in the trash can because I think they're just like, you know what? We don't care anymore. It's not profitable. We got to be profitable. We have a guy from Microsoft running the company now. He wants to go all in on AI, and they're running the numbers, and they're like, you know what? Activism probably got us fewer sales than we would have had if we had not gone there, and we just want to sell a bunch of Magic cards. That's what I think is actually going on, because I think that if they really cared as much as they claim to care, they would have made a point of, you know, using the person's preferred name, pronoun, whatever, that they just don't give a shit. It's a for-profit company, guys. It's Hasbro. Mega conglomerate. This is how they roll. No pun intended. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.